Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at a very common question type and one that we haven't looked at really in depth so far, and that is an agree or disagree question type where you must give your opinion in your essay. So this is going to be a question around the topic of city living, a really common topic in the IELTS test as well as for the writing section of IELTS. So let's take a look at our checklist. Now, I'm not going to go through all the organisational features and language features, the red and green, because I'm sure you've been using this previously. But once again, I'll say it's a really useful checklist for when I'm writing and practicing writing my IELTS essay, and of course the report for task 1. So do have a go at using it. Let's take a look at our question. People who live in busy cities are in many ways at a disadvantage to those who live in rural areas. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? So we can see from the question that it doesn't necessarily state, it doesn't definitely say give your opinion, but it's asking you to agree or disagree. And that in itself means you're going to have to give your opinion. If you think back to our structure master sheet that told you the paragraphs for each question type, in an agree or disagree essay, of course, you've got your introduction paragraph and your 2 supporting paragraphs with a conclusion. The supporting paragraphs, example, paragraph 1 will be to agree or disagree. Only choose one for the whole essay. And the second supporting paragraph again will be to agree or disagree, giving opinion, and repeat your opinion in the conclusion as well. You'll see me using this structure in this upcoming lesson, so don't worry if you didn't quite catch that. And now it's time for us to write our quick plan for this question. Okay, so as always, let's begin with supporting paragraph 1. Taking a quick look back at the question again, people who live in busy cities are at a disadvantage to those who live in rural areas. Now, I don't know if you know, originally I am from a rural area, a small village in northern England. I actually do not agree with this statement. I think people who live in busy cities in many ways are at an advantage. So I'm going to disagree with this statement throughout the whole essay. I'm not going to discuss both agree and disagree. I'm going to pick my standpoint, my perspective, and I'm going to either agree or disagree, only one. And I'm going to disagree. I believe people who live in cities are actually at an advantage. And I suppose there's a few reasons for that. I think the first thing that I will discuss is the economic reasons, more jobs and opportunities for earning money. Now, I think I will probably do 2 disagree points in paragraph 1 and probably just 1 in paragraph 2. Remembering that it's really important I don't write too much in this essay because the time frames are quite tight, so we don't want to be writing 350, 400 words. Let's keep it to between 250 and 300 words. So, economic reasons, more jobs and opportunities for earning money. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, some more reasons we could say. What about healthcare? Healthcare and hospitals, numerous. There are many of them. Okay, economic reasons, more jobs and opportunities for earning money. And as well, healthcare and hospitals, they're numerous. So they're my 2 reasons. I'm going to disagree and say people who live in cities are at an advantage. And in supporting paragraph 1, my 2 reasons are money, economic reasons, and healthcare. going into my second supporting paragraph, I'm also going to discuss social life and meeting friends, because it can be quite difficult living in rural areas to have an exciting social life where you can go to restaurants easily, meet friends and do exciting things together. So I'm going to discuss this in supporting paragraph 2. And do remember, throughout I will be giving lots of examples to discuss and explore my ideas. Okay, and as we are having to give our opinion in the conclusion, I will also quickly write something here. So I'll put O for opinion, and of course I disagree. People in cities have more opportunities in general. So of course I'm going to flesh that out, explore and expand on these ideas when I begin writing. But this plan, it took maybe a minute and a half to write, and really importantly, it gives me all the basis for the ideas that I'll be writing about in my essay. Even if I don't look at the plan again, I've kind of thought about some of the ideas that I'm going to be writing about. So I feel a lot more prepared than if I hadn't written a plan. So that's really important. I definitely recommend you write a plan. Okay, so let's move on to take a look at beginning our writing. Okay, so let's begin. And we're going to start, of course, with our 3-sentence introduction: paraphrase, plan, and outline. So I need to paraphrase the question here. People who live in busy cities are in many ways at a disadvantage to those who live in rural areas. Busy cities, I can definitely think of synonyms for that. Let's start with many people who live. That's pretty much using the same language, but I'll change a few things. You don't have to change everything, remember, just paraphrase some key phrases. Many people who live in bustling cities, metropolis, let's think of another word for that, in busy towns and urban areas. I like that. Many people who live in bustling towns and urban areas are at a disadvantage to those who live in small villages and countryside areas. So I have quite simply paraphrased a few key phrases using my understanding of synonyms. Many people who live in bustling towns and urban areas are at a disadvantage to those who live in small villages and countryside areas. Very much similar to the question. So that's my first introduction sentence, the paraphrased introduction. Again, this signals to the examiner that you have a good understanding of, firstly, what the question is asking and your ability to use synonyms. So straight away, the examiner is thinking, okay, this IELTS student is confident. And now we just need to move on to our plan sentence, which quite simply is just saying what type of question this is. In this essay, I will either agree or disagree with this statement. And now I need to outline, using firstly and secondly, what I will write in my support paragraphs. So I think looking back to my plan, I was going to talk about economic and healthcare being positives. So firstly, I will discuss the benefits of finding work and healthcare whilst living in a city. And secondly, so we've got these openers that I really just recommend you use in every Task 2 report. And secondly, I was going to discuss the social benefits of living in a city. And secondly, I will discuss, I have used here, so let's say explore. I will explore the positives of the social and let's have a look. And secondly, I will explore the positives of the social aspects of living in a city. Okay, so let's take a really quick read back. Many people who live in bustling towns and urban areas are at a disadvantage to those who live in small villages and countryside areas. In this essay, I will either disagree or disagree with this statement. Firstly, I will discuss the benefits of finding work and healthcare whilst living in a city. And secondly, I will explore the positives of the social aspects of living in a city. I'm going to change this. This isn't perfect. This is a rough introduction, but it would score quite highly. Of the social aspects of living in an urban area. Again, I don't want to be repeating vocabulary too often. I want to show the examiner that I can use a range of vocabulary and structures. Okay, so let's move on to my first support paragraph. And that is to discuss the economic positives, the ability to find work more easier probably than you would do in the countryside. So, in my opinion, one of the great advantages to living in a city is the economic benefits that it can bring. For example, it is true that many large and wealthy businesses and corporations, so I'm being more specific in my example and giving extra detail. Corporations operate in urban areas, in large towns and cities. So I've given an example. I've stated my point here. So the big advantages is the economic benefits. And here I'm going to say an example. So large and wealthy businesses and corporations operate in large towns and cities. For this reason, people often find that they can gain employment a lot easier than they would if they lived in the countryside. Okay, so I've made my first point. I've given an example and I've tried to give extra detail to explain my thinking. And next, I was going to talk about healthcare. Furthermore, so I'm using these sentence openers. But I, of course, need to make sure that I'm using my punctuation. Furthermore, it is also true that in a metropolitan area, people have more access to healthcare and quality hospitals. So furthermore, it is also true that in a metropolitan area, people have more access to healthcare and quality hospitals. Often, I just want to add an extra bit of detail just to show the examiner that I can really describe and discuss what I'm thinking. So people have more access to healthcare and quality hospitals. Furthermore, in addition to this, the waiting hours are often much shorter as they are better staffed. Okay, so just adding a little detail at the end just to give a bit more of an example in regards to my point of healthcare. In addition to this, the waiting hours are often much shorter as they are better staffed. That might be true, that might not be true. In some city hospitals, they do have more staff, but I'm not 100% sure the waiting hours are shorter. However, this is a test of my English fluency, not whether I know the ins and outs of the healthcare system. Okay, so that is my first paragraph complete. Let's move on to supporting paragraph 2. And I was going to discuss the social benefits, meeting friends and restaurants. I was going to discuss that in my second paragraph. So I need a good sentence opener. Also, I do feel that people who reside instead of live in cities benefit from a more social and active lifestyle. So I'm saying that they're more social, more active, able to meet friends a bit easier. Also, I do feel that people who reside in cities benefit from a more social and active lifestyle. I'm going to discuss living in villages and sort of talk from my experiences. When living in small, isolated places, it is definitely more difficult to meet friends and visit restaurants or bars. In big cities and towns, due to transport and availability of venues, it is quite easy to socialize and unwind. So we've got this socialize, unwind, kind of topic-specific vocabulary, quite native-sounding phrase to relax. So I'm using definite topic-specific vocabulary, isolated and suburban. Have I used suburban yet? Maybe I can add that in. Metropolitan, definitely topic-specific. I wonder if there's something I can add just to increase this supporting paragraph somewhat. It is quite easy to socialise and unwind. It may also be that due to being able to meet friends more frequently, city dwellers, that's quite a native sounding phrase, city dwellers might also lead happier lives. So I just wanted to add a bit more detail again, so I've put in this sentence saying that maybe city dwellers are happier because they can meet friends more often. And I think there we have two quite nicely detailed supporting paragraphs. It's now time to move on to our conclusion, where I will give my opinion once more. Okay, so as I am giving my opinion, the conclusion for an agree or disagree essay will have two sentences. The first sentence will paraphrase my main ideas, so not paraphrasing the question like in the introduction. I will paraphrase myself, very quickly mention healthcare and socializing and economic reasons. And the second sentence will reaffirm and restate my opinion. Let's begin with in conclusion, a great way to start our conclusion. In conclusion, the benefits of living in a city are numerous apologies for my spelling, are numerous from nightlife, friends, healthcare, and better employment prospects. That's a great native colloquial sounding phrase for you there. So that's my first sentence in the conclusion. I now need to give my opinion once more. Therefore, I believe that people who live in city areas are actually at an advantage to those who do not. Okay, so that's quite simply reaffirming, restating my opinion on the question. Do you agree or disagree people in cities are at a disadvantage? Well, therefore, I believe people who live in cities are actually at an advantage to those who do not. Let's have a quick read through this essay. Many people who live in bustling towns and urban areas are at a disadvantage to those who live in small villages and countryside areas. In this essay, I will either agree or disagree with this statement. Firstly, I will discuss the benefits of finding work and healthcare whilst living in a city. And secondly, I will explore the positives, the social aspects of living in an urban area. In my opinion, one of the great advantages to living in a city is the economic benefits that it can bring. For example, it is true that many large and wealthy businesses and corporations operate in large towns and cities. I just noticed I repeated large in the same sentences. Try not to repeat vocabulary too often. For this reason, people often find that they can gain employment a lot easier than they would if they lived in the countryside. Furthermore, it is also true that in a metropolitan area, people have more access to healthcare and quality hospitals. In addition to this, the waiting hours are often much shorter as they are better staffed. Also, I do feel that people who reside in cities benefit from a more social and active lifestyle. When living in small isolated places, it is definitely more difficult to meet friends and visit restaurants or bars. In big cities and towns, due to transport and availability of venues, it is quite easy to socialise and unwind. It may also be that due to being able to meet friends more frequently, city dwellers might also lead happier lives. In conclusion, the benefits of living in a city are numerous, from nightlife, friends, healthcare, and better employment prospects. Therefore, I believe that people who live in city areas are actually at an advantage to those who do not. Okay, so that is my full task to essay report, and it is for an agree or disagree essay, and as you can see, it's packed full of my opinion. I'll not go through all the features checklist. I'm confident I've included lots of it. Importantly, again, I can see that I've got those 4 paragraphs. When the examiner sees this, even before they start reading, they will recognise that you have an introduction, 2 supporting paragraphs and a conclusion paragraph. So they will straight away be thinking, this student has studied and is following a formula to organise their writing. So it gives a good message to the examiner if you use this structure that I taught you. All the best, and I hope to upload some more video lessons for you soon.